Morning, all. So today we've got 9 games in the National Hockey League. It is a busy Thursday, and at one point during tonight, we will have all 9 of them going on at the same time. So again, I will do my best to watch as much as I can of each game. It does get a little bit hair-raising once you get into the 9-game range, but happens. And looking ahead at this month's schedule, it is a very busy month. So we are definitely going to have nights like this often in March, and then in April it's going to be just as bad. So hockey players, teams are going to be very tired by the end of these months, upcoming March and April, and then the playoffs get started when they're probably pretty exhausted and beat up. So, starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins in against the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is the third and final meeting between the two. Pittsburgh won the matchup on October 12th, 6-2, and on October 26th, Tampa Bay beats Pittsburgh 5-1. So this is the rubber match, the last time they'll meet each other unless they meet in the playoffs. For Pittsburgh, 33-14-8 is their overall record. Over their last 10, they're 6-3-1. They've won 2 in a row. Away from home, they're 18-6-3. Very good on the road. They're 5 points behind Carolina for first place. The race for second, they currently occupy second spot, 1 point ahead of the New York Rangers. On the Tampa Bay side, they're 35-11-6. Over their last 10, they're 8-1-1. They've won 5 in a row, so they're doing very well. And at home, they're 18-4-4. So this could very well be the best game we see tonight. For Tampa Bay, they are 1 point ahead of Florida for first place. They are 2 points ahead of Toronto as well. So still pretty tightly bunched atop the division, and Tampa Bay is going to look to provide some kind of separation at the top of the division. But they're going to need some help from Ottawa with that. So at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific as well, the Ottawa Senators in against the Florida Panthers. Now, these teams met on December 14th. Ottawa won that game 8-2, thus the no mercy magnet. Now, what's interesting is Ottawa's the only team that has beaten Florida by 5 or more goals this year in any single game. So that's odd that it's Ottawa that's done it, but here we are. For Ottawa overall, they're 19-28-5. Over their last 10, they're 3-6-1. They've lost 2 in a row. They're coming off that loss against Tampa, right? Away from home, they're 9-12-3. Florida, on the other hand, 35-13-5. Over their last 10, they're 6-4. They've lost 3 in a row. At home, they're 23-6 now. So their records come down a little bit at home, but still fantastic home record. They're 1 point behind Tampa, 1 point ahead of Toronto in the very tightly bunched top of the Atlantic Division. These teams will meet again on March 26th as well as April 28th. So Ottawa could very well be a team that decides whether or not Florida finishes first. All right, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Minnesota Wild in against the Philadelphia Flyers. For Minnesota, they are 31-17-3, and things have not been going great. They're 3-7 over their last 10. They've lost 4 in a row. So, bring on Philadelphia. Away from home, they're 15-12-2. They're now 5 points behind St. Louis. They are 1 point ahead of Nashville. They currently occupy third spot in the division, but their playoff life is starting to look precarious. They're only 2 points ahead of both Dallas and Edmonton. So, yeah, the West is going to be a little crazy the rest of the way. Philadelphia is 16-27-10 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 3-5-2. They did lose their last game in regulation, and at home, they're 9-14-5. The next meeting between these teams will be March 29th. So we'll see how this one goes. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start time as well between Carolina and Washington. The Washington Capitals on November 28th won this matchup 4-2. These teams will meet 2 more times after this, March 18th and March 28th. So March is going to be a month of Carolina and Washington getting to know each other again. Probably not liking each other again. Carolina's 37-11-5. Over their last 10, they're 6-2-2. They did suffer a loss in extra time the last time they played. Away from home, they're 18-7-3. They're 5 points ahead of Pittsburgh, 6 points ahead of the Rangers, and again, looking to continue that separation atop the division. Washington, on the other hand, last 10 games, they are 4-6. They've lost 3 in a row in regulation. At home, they're 12-11-5. They're 8 points behind the Rangers. They're 3 points behind Boston. They're 8 points ahead of Columbus. So for Washington, a win tonight puts them 10 points ahead of Columbus, gets that separation there again, but lately wins have been hard to come by. Then we fast forward a half an hour to 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, and I'm wearing Canucks because They need to win this. The Islanders came in and beat Vancouver on February 9th, 6-3. For Vancouver, they're currently 26, 23, and 6. Over their last 10, they're 6 and 4. They did lose their last game. Away from home, they're 14, 13, and 3. They're 5 points now behind Edmonton and Dallas. This is part of the problem, is that if they continue to go at a 6 and 4 rate, well, both Edmonton and Dallas have been winning at a better rate than that, so the teams you're trying to catch. Now, on the other hand, you do have Minnesota and Nashville who've fallen off, but still, Vancouver needs to start winning some games. They need this win in New York tonight. New York, 20, 22, and 8. Over their last 10, they're 3, 5, and 2. They did lose their last game in regulation. And at home, they're 10, 10, and 4. So again, for Vancouver, and the team keeps saying all the right things, like the players keep saying they don't want to hear about trade rumors, and they want to make the playoffs. The rubber's got to meet the road tonight, because seriously, it's teetering, because Edmonton plays tonight, so if Edmonton pulls out to a 7-point lead on Vancouver, it's not done, but it's close. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, the Oilers are in against the Chicago Blackhawks. This is the third and final meeting on November 20th. Edmonton beats Chicago 5-2. On February 9th, Chicago beats Edmonton 4-1. Edmonton's 30, 21, and 3 overall. Over their last 10, they're 7 and 3. They did win their last game. Away from home, they're 16, 10, and 3. Edmonton, it's a mess that they're in the middle of, but honestly, they could end up with third place. They're 1 point behind Vegas. They're tied with Dallas, and they're 2 points ahead of Anaheim. So they could finish in third. There's still the chance they could finish in second in that division. There's also the chance they could miss the playoffs. Chicago, 19, 27, and 8 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 3, 6, and 1. They lost their last game in regulation. They're 9, 14, and 4 at home. So Chicago, really, just playing for pride, and we'll see how this one goes tonight with them against the Oilers. Should be entertaining. Then a half an hour later, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, the Montreal Canadiens in against the Calgary Flames. November 11th, Montreal at home won against Calgary 4-2. So this is the second and final meeting of the season. Montreal 13, 34, and 7 overall. Over their last 10, they are 5 and 5. They did lose their last game in spectacular fashion against Winnipeg, and away from home, they're 5, 17, and 6. Calgary, on the other hand, they're 32, 14, and 6. Over their last 10, they're 9 and 1. They've won 2 in a row, both of those against Minnesota. And at home, they're 15, 4, and 4. They're 5 points ahead of LA. They're 6 points ahead of Vegas. And we'll see whether or not they can expand that lead tonight. Now, technically, Vegas could jump over LA tonight as well. But Calgary's been playing desperate hockey for over a month now. I don't expect that to change against Montreal. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific as well, the Colorado Avalanche in against the Arizona Coyotes on January 14th. A 4-3 shootout win for Colorado occurred. On January 15th, the next night, Colorado went into Arizona and won 5-0. And then February 1st, it was a 3-2 shootout win for Arizona. So the Cobra Kai No Mercy magnet is because of the 5-0 win for Colorado, but Arizona's played them tough in the other two games. For Colorado, they're 40, 10, and 4. So ridiculous record. Over their last 10, they're 8 and 2. They've won 4 in a row. Away from home, they're 17, 7, and 2. They're now 14 points ahead of St. Louis. They are 19 points ahead of Minnesota. They're home and cleared, really. Arizona's 14, 35, and 4. Over their last 10, they're 4 and 6. They did lose their last game in regulation. They're 7, 20, and 1 at home. And then the last game of the night to look at is Boston in against Vegas, also starting at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. December 14th, Vegas beats Boston 4-1. So now Boston's going to go into Vegas and try to do the same thing in Vegas's home as Vegas did in Boston's. Boston 32, 18, and 4 over their last 10. They're 6, 3, and 1. They did lose their last game in regulation against Anaheim. They lost that point with seconds left. But 16, 8, and 3 away from home. They're 6 points behind Toronto. They are 3 points ahead of Washington. It looks highly likely they finish in the number 1 or number 2 wildcard spot this year. Vegas, on the other hand, 30, 20, and 4 overall in the season. Last 10 games, they're 5, 4, and 1. They won their last game against San Jose. At home, they're 15, 12, and 3. So now they've won 15 out of 30 at home. That still seems very, very low. They're 1 point behind LA and 1 point ahead of Edmonton. I get the feeling that Vegas has flirted with maybe being below the playoff line, and now they're going to go on a run. Just feels that way, so we'll see. But again, I'm wearing Vancouver because they really need to win this game tonight. Again, if they lose in regulation and Edmonton wins, the math starts to get really kind of dodgy. But we shall see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.